Hey guys, today we're on the final day of the build, our final day of working on it, and our time limit. This is our last day, only had 5 days, so we are at the end of our time limit, and I know I'm going to get everything done, so the final part. I did work on just squaring up the block that I made up yesterday at night, or yesterday in the last video. For the handle, I just squared it up, took down a lot of the bulk of the material, got all the rough wood parts out of it, and I fitted it up onto the sword, and it is looking amazing, looking way better than I thought. It's still rough, it's still not going to be perfect. From the cutting of the wood, I do have some deep gaps. Obviously, these ones I'm not too concerned about, but like this one is really deep. So we're going to have to deal with that, and there's a crack right there. You can see it right there that I'll have to deal with. I think I'm just gonna deal with that with super glue. This crack, I think I'll just use super glue for this just gap, and there's another gap right here. So I think I'll deal with those with super glue as well. But we also have a gap. And unfortunately, I wanted to avoid needing a spacer, but it looks like we will have to. I'll have to do that. I don't know what I'm going to use yet. I have some brass, but it's not wide enough, so I might have to do some flattening, like forging on it, like cold forging. So I don't know what I want to do with that just yet. But I think I'm going to tackle that first so I can put some super glue in these gaps and that crack to get it all done up and don't have to worry. So I can give it a full time to cure, or I think I'll do super glue. And then obviously I'll take this pin out. I will put my name on the tang and everything. But to stay positive for a second and not think too much into the things I'll need to figure out, is that this is looking awesome. I wish it was the tiniest bit longer. It just barely fits both my hands, but I think this is gonna be so cool, so fun. Before I got the handle on it, I was feeling a little not great about it, but now since it's truly coming together a bit more, I feel a bit more proud of it. Like I said, like 100 times throughout these 5 videos, or 4 videos technically, this isn't going to be the greatest sword of all time, but it will be my first katana or Japanese style sword. So I'm gonna be very happy with it. I am very happy with it. And it shows. This is going to be a representation of my skill and my skill up until this point. Really, I think I've said it before. Is that I don't know if I have. I might have. But I'll just repeat myself really quick, is that I think I'm pretty good at forging. I was very proud with how this sword came out. If I wasn't so concerned about running out of propane, I'd forge this sword way more. Like, forge the bevels in better, work them a bit better. But I feel like I'm very good at forging. I've gotten pretty I'm pretty good at it. I feel like I can confidently say that I'm good at it. But with finishing, like sanding and grinding and filing, I'm not the greatest at, and that's where I lose a lot of momentum. Obviously, my fitment, stuff like that, does wiggle. This handle, the guard doesn't fit up the greatest, and obviously it does depend on your materials, your tools, because if you don't have any chisels to chisel out your handle, or you don't have small files to file out your guard or your hibaki or whatever, and materials to back that, well, yeah, it's going to be tough. But that's never stopped me before. But I would say I'm fairly good at forging. It's definitely my strongest skill when it comes to this. When it comes to all this stuff, it's my strongest skill. So definitely where all the weak points are is in the finishing, as you can see with the sword, as you can see as the blade itself, the guard, and what will become the handle, is that these are strengths that I will definitely get better at, along with my forging, but my forging will be the one thing that sort of stays good throughout the entire thing. I'm, pretty good at it, but the finishing, filing, and grinding, I just am not the greatest at, and this sword definitely shows it, but it is definitely, in my personal opinion, of all the work that I can remember of me doing, this is definitely the best work that I have done up until this point in time. Maybe excluding like 2 or 3, like 2 knives. But everything else that I have forged, I would definitely put above because I'm better than that. I'm better at, so I've put more effort into those not more effort, but because the forged finishes was the final finish, I put more time into it, when the fact that I'm going to be grinding this and I'm going to be filing it, I can't leave it as a forged finish. So you know what I mean? But nevertheless, I'm still really happy with it. It still embodies where I am at in my forging and blacksmithing journey, and I'm really happy with that. I'm happy with how it's coming out, but we still got a lot of work to do today, especially with this fitment. That's the fitment, and the spacer is one of the biggest things. And if I have to go put a new handle on this later down on the line, because I really had to just pull this, it was from like a random log, a random piece of wood that I just split up. If I have to end up putting a new handle on this because it breaks, it'll be okay. But as long as I get this handle done by the end of the day, and I'm happy with it, and it looks good, and we can chop some stuff with it, and it doesn't break, I'll be all right. So as long as that doesn't happen, and we can get this pretty much well sorted with the spacer and everything, I'll be very, very happy. So enough talking. I had better jump right in and get to figuring some stuff out, because this day, I bet, is going to go by quick. So I'll see you when I figure something out. Okay, so I got this piece of burl that I have had, just a small little piece. I couldn't get a full handle out of it, but I saw that it was just barely wide enough to where it might be able to fit on the sword as our spacer, and it has been working really nicely. I basically took the same route as I did with the guard, just I used a drill bit to take a bit more material out and use less files, but it is nearly there, and just need to clean it up just a tiny little bit. It's really close, and I'm really happy with that. Obviously, because it's burl, we won't be able to really carve it. We'll have to I'll have to sort of just file or sand it while it's on the rest of the handle, which will be a tiny bit annoying, just because it'll take, potentially a little bit longer, but it'll be all right. And I'm planning on just gluing this, or super gluing it right onto the handle. Just add a little bit more strength to this, and potentially the handle itself. And I am leaving this thicker and not taking it thinner, so that crack and those gaps I showed you. So hopefully I can get rid of more of that. Get rid of more of those when I go and it's nearly there. Hopefully I can be able to hopefully use this as a way to, I'll grind down the handle, I'll grind and file down the handle, and so then I just heard a crack. No, I think it was just making some noise. But so I can potentially get rid of the cracks and gaps that are in the handle itself by grinding it down and not this down. So, and then it'll be a little bit stronger because I'll be gluing this to it. So hopefully it'll be all right. And because this will be glued on there, it may potentially give us a bitter, give us our, get rid of some of that wiggle, and get rid of that wiggle, and dang, I can't remember what I was gonna say, but I think it'll just be a better move, and I'll be able to file or grind this down to get the fit I want against my guard, so there's no gap. I think that will be the best move, is to grind down the handle and leave this thick, and glue this onto the handle itself and not leave it as its own separate piece. So just taking this really slowly because I want a nice good fit, and it's not a perfect fit just like my guard, but it is very good and very close. It's not perfect, as I said, but it is close, and that is what I'm after, and that's a pretty good fit. I think I might heat up the tang a little bit and try to press this on and sort of burn it in just very lightly. So I'm just going to keep fiddling with this, maybe file it, maybe not, or heat it up and burn it on, but I'll just keep fiddling this and see how it all goes. Okay, so we have met with some complications. So we're trying to drive our rivet in to test fit it. I accidentally split our joint. That is not good, obviously, and, well, I got this fitting up our spacer, but we do not have a nice gap between this face and the face of our spacer. So, because I feel like I have enough time, or I don't think I do have enough time, but I'm going to push it a lot. I'm going to re-glue this with wood glue, and I'm going to wood glue the the spacer onto this, because we will already be waiting for glue to dry. So I will just fully embrace wood gluing that part on. And just jam this full of glue. And obviously, I will clamp this again. And I will put this end in the vise. And then I'll quick push open our original crack. Or not original, but actual crack. Or I might not have to. I might have gotten the super glue in deep enough. I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm going to put a bunch more super glue in the, not super glue, wood glue in the ends right here, and a lot on top. So we know for a fact that this spacer, I'll even put some on this, on the spacer. And I think because we have so much gap, between between our walls, our actual handle walls, and the blade itself, I don't think it will be glued to it. Or not enough to where I feel like I need to, not enough to where I feel like I need to put like wax or something on the tang. I just feel like I don't have enough, it's not close enough for that to be a concern, at least at this moment in time. And at the very worst, very worst, we won't get my touch mark and date my name and date on the tang. But I'm gonna leave this for an hour. And hopefully, I heard some cracking when I tightened this clamp down. So I hope and pray that it doesn't crack and break anymore, because if this doesn't work, we'll have to resort to an all one piece handle, and I don't have the means to do that really. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with this. And I really hope nothing happens to it, that it breaks or anything. Just hope that it all works and that it will all be good. I hope, but I really don't know. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. I'm gonna come back in an hour, hour or two. I'm gonna give this glue as much time to dry it as I possibly can to meet the time restraints of the day. But hopefully this glue can get somewhat dry and cured by then. So there's nothing else to do except for wait. So I'll be back when this is cured or close to curing. So see ya. Okay, so while we wait for that glue to continue to dry, I want to get on to engraving my name on the tang and date and everything. So on this side, you can't really see it, the marker didn't show up, but this is where I will be stamping my like regular name. I will use a set of stamps I have. The 2 for the 2025, I'll have to change that. For the 2025, for the 2s, I'll have to hand engrave because I lost the 2, and the H in my last name, Held, will need to be hand engraved because I lost the H. But this will be my print name or my English name, and then on this side, I will put the Japanese name. I'll have to change the 24 to 25. I'll have to quick look that up. But I have my full name, Spencer Held, and I will engrave that on the tang. And I tried making an engraving tool out of a piece of a file, but that just really didn't work. So I have this tap that it was already broken, so I just rounded the end off, and I'm going to it's going to be like dimpled. It's not going to be fully engraved. It's not going to be a straight line, or I'll try to do that, but I'll at least rough it in with this and just lightly tap it in, or use my soft-faced hammer to do so. So this may be, I don't know, like not appropriate for me to engrave my name in Japanese on this, even though it really shouldn't, but I'm going to do it anyways just because I want to. It's my sword. I can do whatever I want, and I just kind of want to, and just so I can get better at engraving, even though I don't have any tools to do it. So I'm going to start that. I'm going to go change the 24 to 25 on the Japanese side, and I'll get right to it. So I got the handle here. We still have some gaps in it. It's still not perfect, and obviously this glue hasn't completely dried. I think these gaps I'll come back and fill later today or tonight, but I need to get this thing done, and I know I can't wait for that. So I just took my angle grinder and I took down the spacer, and then I took down the edges because I want this octagonalized to handle, but I want this to be fairly rough, or not fair. I don't want it to be, but just I don't want it to be super. I want it to still be grippy. I want it to be able to sort of like feel the wood. So I don't want to take this up past like 180 or 220 or 120 or whatever. So I'm going to start off with 80 grit, and I'm just going to try to get rid of a lot of these like burn marks and get rid of the sort of inconsistency. So that's more of what I'm going to do right now, and you guys don't really need to be watching me do that because it's just that. So that's the plan, is that we are nearly there. We got the sword engraved and stamped, got everything done and ready. So the only thing we have to do is just sand this. So whenever I get done with this, I'll show you, and hopefully we can put it all together. Okay, so I apologize for the lighting. I just shut the door because it's just super windy. It was blowing stuff everywhere, and it's really loud. You could probably hear it when I was engraving and doing that more silent stuff. But I got the handle all sanded. I'm going to show you it really quick. It is far from perfect. I still have a lot of things to fix, but just for how many gaps there are and how many things I'll have to come and fix with with some more glue and like sawdust and stuff, I don't think I'll have time to finish it, so I'm going to call it good for right now. So I'm not going to rivet the handle on right now. I'm just going to throw it all together, and I don't have anything to cut and show. So I'll make that video sometime next week, you know, like Monday or maybe this Sunday. I'll see how everything will go down. But this is at basically 80 grit, and I'll try to get some of these more burn marks out. But I want to make sure all these gaps are fully like gone, like covered up and not looking, you know, so you can't see them. And then I'll oil it and everything. So right now, I'm just gonna throw everything together and show you guys how it all will look. Just, I'm not going. It's basically done. Just really, if I didn't have to wait for glue to dry, and I didn't split it today, this would have been completely done. I wouldn't have to worry about anything. But just that unfortunate thing that the glue didn't dry. I assume it just got cold enough last night, Thursday night, that the glue didn't fully set up for this morning. So I think that's why it broke that easily, that glue joint, because the bottom didn't break. I tried splitting it and then just re-gluing both halves, but I bet that's why, is that it just got cool enough that the glue just couldn't cure fast or cure hard enough or whatever. But I will come back and do that later, but this is basically how it's going to look. Just, it's going to be not riveted on at this moment in time. It'll be riveted on, or I'll just put a pin through or whatever later on tomorrow and know that glue is finally dry. So really the only thing that will be overdue is just filling these gaps. And really, at the state that it's in now, it's really nice for what it is. So I'm going to show you each component. I just show you the handle. So here obviously is our habaki, which I am really happy with. This sort of forged scale quenched sort of finish. It's not, you know, professional, but I like it. It looks nice. Now the guard obviously is far from perfect, just like the entire sword, but I'm not gonna spend another 2 minutes telling you why I'm fine with it being not completely perfect. But there's our guard, and finally, and I'm not gonna show you the pin, it's just a pin. And then obviously our sword, get a nice close-up on it. As I said, with everything else, it is not perfect, but it is still really nice, and I'm very satisfied with what I have done here. So there's that. Last side, like there. Then the tang. You can kind of see Spencer Held 2024. I really struggled. I don't know why my stamps were not really wanting to bite into this. I think it's because it's still, even though it's not mild, even though it's soft, it's not mild steel, so I don't think it really just wanted to dent into it. And they might be dull, and the fact that it was, there's not a lot of flat surface, but I do love how well, you probably can't see it too well, try to angle it a little bit, how I did my Japanese name, my name in Japanese, and the date in Japanese. I absolutely love that. Looks really nice. So, yeah, I'm really happy with this. So let's put it all together. So Habaki goes on first. Gonna use this hammer and just slowly tap it on, and there it's on. And now our guard goes on. Might have to jump over to the anvil to put this on. Actually, I'll just do that really quick so I can put the guard on. So there's our guard. Not completely perfect, just as everything is. Then our handle, obviously, with the spacer. Lightly tap it on. Our pin, this is sort of like a test pin. Highly recommend, if you're going to do that, put a little chamfer or cone on it. So if anything is off, it can sort of find itself and center itself with that cone. But here it is fully complete, and I am super happy with this sword. Very, very happy with it. It's more of a straight sword. Obviously, it doesn't have a whole lot of curve. I'm more of like one of those like ninja swords, how they're just dead straight. There's no sort of curve or anything. I think those are quite a bit thinner and maybe about this length, but I think they're about like a quarter of an inch to a half inch shorter in width than this. But I am very happy with this. I am really surprised how much like lighter it was. When I didn't have the handle or guard on this thing, I was like, man, this is too heavy. I said this before. I was like, it's going to be way too thick. It's going to be way too heavy, but I don't think so. It feels really light. It's really fun to swing around. I'm very happy with this. So this is exactly how it's going to look. I'm not going to change anything with it. After today, only thing I'm going to do is put glue and sawdust to fill in these gaps around the spacer and in these handle spots, and let it cure fully, and just hit it with the same 80 grit sandpaper and maybe put some oil on it just to protect it. But other than that, I'm not going to touch it. So in 5 days, not whole days, but this was maybe about 1 to 2 days of full back-to-back work if I really wanted to, obviously without waiting for heat treatment, tempering, and glue drying. But I am very happy with this. Obviously, as I said, this is far from perfect. I wish the sword had more curve. I wish it was a tiny bit longer. But I'm super happy with how this process has went, other than maybe this handle, just because I didn't have the best tools to do it, and I didn't really have the best wood, or I had just some logs lying around, so I really had to do a lot of work to it. But I am really, really happy with how this came out, and I can't wait to do this in a year or two again to see how I've improved, especially my forge work and finish work. But I'm really happy with this, and yeah, I promise, pinky promise to everyone who's watching, I'm not lying. All I'm going to do with this is just fill in those gaps. So that is the end of it all. This sword is fully complete. And so yeah, I'm really happy with this. Super, super happy when I get these gaps filled up, and I know that the glue is completely cured. I'll get some stuff so we can chop up, and play around with this sword. But before I end this off, I want to compare my third sword to my first sword. So let me go get it, and then we'll be done. I got it. So for reference, here is the sword again, the katana, the third sword. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you the long sword or the crusader sword. I don't really know the technical name. I call it a crusader sword, one of those like short, more like arming swords, you know, European style swords. Don't have that, but I have my first sword, this Gladius, that I gave my brother, and I'm still very proud of this as well. I made this, oh man, I made this sword, I think 2 or 3 years ago. I'm very happy with that. I forged the bevels in on this too. I was very happy that I forged the bevels in. So yeah, I'm happy with this too, and it has been quite a while since I've seen this, and my brother, he had this under his bed, so that's where it picked up this rust. But the scale that's in there and those grinder marks were definitely from me. But there is quite a difference between me 3 years ago and me right now in my experience in even forging, because the reason why I have this weirdo handle on this is because you can kind of see in there that I forged the tang off center, when obviously if you're going to be forging a double bevel sword or double bevel anything, or double edge, whatever you want to say, double bevel, double edge, whatever, that tang needs to be centered with those bevels. Obviously with this, it can be off center, or you don't want it to be, but it can. But with one of these swords, you really shouldn't, because now it's like a big knife, and this is just, you know, a weirdo edge, and now it feels awkward to switch sides. But nevertheless, I did not plan for that. I didn't account for that. I just forged it, and it turned out that way, and that's why it looks so weird and wonky. But so just everything that has happened in 3 years of just metalworking in general, and especially bladesmithing / blacksmithing, this is not the pinnacle. I know I could do better if I put more time in, but for a week's worth of time, this is incredible, in my personal opinion. A week's worth of time with my experience and everything, and getting sick, I think I did a very good job, and it is amazing to compare what I did 3 years ago to what I have done just today, or this week, I should say. So I thank you for coming along and watching me build this sword, and I hope this inspires you to get out and do your best on one single project, put everything into it, and then come back to it in a couple of years or even a couple of months, and see if you can improve and do better. And I thank you for watching this video, and well, these videos, because I've had a blast, and it has been so fun to do this and take on a big challenge, even though I did it just like a month ago, or not a month ago, like 2 months ago. But nevertheless, thank you so much, and I am happy with this sword. So till next time, see ya.